Do you ever wish someone would draw you a map and give you the directions to the career of your dreams? If so, consider this podcast your GPS to a career where you feel strong, fulfilled, and passionate about your work, day in and day out. On this show, I am sharing the tools to help you advocate for your strengths, discover your passions, and learn from folks who transformed their careers for the better. My name is Joyelle Crawford, your fairy god mentor, and with my 18 years of experience in HR at a Fortune 50 company and 20 years of coaching and mentoring top leaders, I am thrilled to be your guide on this career journey. Let's get started. Welcome back to Career View Mirror, where we reflect on the career paths of today to help you navigate your future career. So today's guest is bringing us something a lot of people need, but don't always get: the real rules of corporate America. The real ones, not the fakey makey up ones. With over 20 years of human resources experience, she has seen it all: the roadblocks, the missteps, the unwritten rules, and now she's putting it all into her book, Tactics and Tenacity: 10 Tips to Thrive in Corporate America. Please welcome author, HR expert, Ebony Russ.
Well, hello there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
It's good to see you. We last saw each other at the Black Enterprise Women of Power Summit, where we got to finally meet in person. I
Yes.
I am just so excited to have you on the podcast so that you can share your story and share this wonderful resource that we so greatly needed. I wish I had had this 20 years ago when I was starting in human resources. But let's start where we always do. What experience really inspired your career in HR and led you to ultimately write this book?
So, what inspired my career in HR, I would probably say is when I first got my degree, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Right? If we're being
Nice.
honest, I,
Oh,
I
nice.
majored. I majored in business administration with a minor in
Mhm.
marketing. I think at that time, Boomerang had come out, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to make commercials." And
Mhm.
then, what is my Martin Lawrence movie? One was she
Fabulous.
was real estate. I can't even think of the title right now, but she was selling real estate. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll sell real estate. So I kind of just didn't have it down. And then my
Mhm.
first job out of college, I was doing quality assurance in a call center. And I knew that wasn't what I was going to do, but I had to get a job after college, right? My sister was like, you need to pay your own car insurance. Cool.
Mhm.
So figuring that out, I knew I liked structure. I knew I liked policy. And I also had this like huge passion for teaching and coaching. So I finally got my first big girl job, I say.
Yes.
It was in learning and development. So under the umbrella of HR, I did leadership development, new employee orientation. And so all the courses that the leaders got to take, I also got to take: the
Mm.
coaching, the crucial conversations, MBTI. So I just started to learn so much about myself, and I really got the consulting piece down as far as asking questions, leading leaders to their own aha moments, but
Mhm.
giving that guidance along the way. And so I think all those things made me just into a great transition until I got into that core HRBP role, and I haven't been able to shake it.
Well, I remember when I was trying to get into human resources, and someone was just like, it's going to be impossible for you to get into HR because people go there and they stay and they die there. And I was just like, oh, that
Very true. Very true.
sounds so challenging, but they hadn't met me yet. So I was able to break in, and we have similar paths, where I started in customer service and I wanted to do the new hire or at new hire orientation for that customer service job. I realized that's what I wanted to do. And so I ultimately worked my way into the learning and development, and leadership, ultimately leadership and development department. So that is fantastic. I appreciate you sharing that history and the path that you took,
Yeah.
because a lot of times people are like, "How did you do it? How did you get into it?" And it takes a lot of, they're not roadblocks, but they're speed bumps, along the way. You kind of just go down certain paths and you're like, nope, nope, don't like that. Let's back up the car and go this way. Now you said that you learned the rules of corporate America through trial and error.
Absolutely.
What were some of those early lessons that you had to learn along the way? Like what made you, back up the car and move it forward?
Being completely an extrovert in the office, you've got to buffer how much of yourself you share. And I go back to Bethune-Cookman all the time, and I always have this discussion, maybe even a debate, or a highly passionate conversation with the students, just about, well, I want to show up and be my authentic self. And I was like, well, is that company culture ready for all of you, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do that? And I share with them, I used to be the first one to speak up, to be super extra. I can't be the spokesperson for the team when something isn't right. Is this the right forum for me to share this? Do I always have to tell my boss, no, that's not correct? How do you do those things, right? And so I learned some of those things that way. Also, understanding the value of a mentor that really helped me, and learning the difference between a mentor having that personal relationship with someone, but then also learning the difference of someone that's just going to advocate for me. I'm not going to be able to be my complete self and show them, hey, I'm really frustrated with this other person, but they see my skill set and help me advocate. Now I can go in to my mentor's office and I can just verbally process, correct. I can just let it all out. And she's not going to hold it against me. She's not going to judge me. She sees through it, and she's going to help me navigate those situations. So, I mean, just so many things. Also, how you show up after rejection.
Yes.
I learned that the hard way several times. I was like, because I know I deserve a yes. I know I earned this job. I work better than this person. I have better relationships with my client group. I have a larger client group. Like, I had the stats, but how do you get it? And I think probably the hardest thing, even sometimes now, I'm human. Even sometimes now, I got to walk it like I talk it.
Yeah.
Sometimes now I have to remember my promotion isn't just going to come from one body of work, right? I'm still going to have the visibility, the advocate, the relationships. It's not just she's a worker bee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, no one's ever going to outwork me. I'm never worried about that. But it's just about being in the right place at the right time, making those relationships so that they see me in that role. They have to see you in the role before they even promote you. So
yes,
those opportunities happen.
Yeah, you've got to almost, as I like to say in my book, it's one thing to know your value, it's another thing to show it.
Yes.
And it's so important that some of the mistakes that we've made, we were at least I don't know how you were raised, but I was raised by parents who were like, if you work hard, people are going to see you and grant you,
Yes. And think about our parents. Like, my father was in the military for 30 years. He left the military, and he wasn't quite retirement age because he went into the Army at 17. And so then he started driving trucks. And he stayed there until he retired, right? So I think another 16 years, I think. So you worked this whole life for two companies.
Yeah.
Our generation, we're not staying at the same company for 30 years.
No.
Like, I'm seeing people now retire 42 years. I was like, you've been here for 42 years? Oh, you helped build the building?
Yes, pretty much.
And that's probably not even probably. I know based on the math now, that's just not going to be me, right?
Yeah.
But I'll also tell you something else when you just talked about showing up in the workplace. The other thing I learned the hard way is just also about dress code.
Oh, yes. Tell me a little bit more.
My first big girl job, we still had to wear, pantyhose, closed-toe shoes, slacks, button downs. And I think I have a little bit of trauma. I'm like trauma bonded to a professional dress code now. And so I find myself, especially now in my role, I'm side-eyeing everybody coming in the office. You're a little too casual in here for me.
Are you do side-eye if people aren't wearing like pantyhose though?
No, not pantyhose. I'm so happy.
All right.
Listen, I'm just going to put this out here. Even for the sorority, I move that we cancel.
Yes.
Especially in the spring and the summer, like, my God. But anyway, And
That's a
but
whole nother
now,
podcast episode.
yes, being in the state of Florida, people like slides. Every
Mm.
shoe is not a work shoe.
Mm.
Even
Mhm.
during the summer months, we shouldn't be wearing shorts.
Yeah.
And I see
Well,
this on men more than anyone. They will
oh,
wear shorts and a
really?
polo because they had a 6:30 tee off time. And then you
Oh,
brought yourself into this office. Put you some
well,
slacks.
just put it in a bag like you would with your gym bag. Why can't you? I mean, we do it all the time. Like, I don't
Listen,
understand.
I can't even imagine coming into the office with some shorts on.
Well, you see those cute little short, like I see it with, and I know I'm totally aging myself, but I see it with younger generations. They're very cute little two-piece short suits. It's got the shorts and a nice little blazer. It looks very cute.
The shorts are too short
The
because
shorts, short.
even the TV shows, what was it? I can't think of any of the names of the shows, but the one with Kim Kardashian, I was like, no one's wearing that into the workplace.
Yeah,
Stop
yeah.
it. Tiana Taylor, no one's got that midsection all out. No, ma'am. High fashion, but you're sending the wrong message.
Yeah.
No one, I just watched Devil Wears Prada too. She had on this cute little skirt, to your point, the little pleated like tennis skirt with the blazer. That's too short for the workplace.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have to, use my Catholic school, all girls Catholic school, Catholic high school dress code. Like the skirt has to be at least touching the tips of your fingers when you have them at your
Yes.
sides.
Yes.
That was how long the skirt had to be. If it was shorter than that, it was too short.
Or a credit card from the knee.
Yeah,
That was the rule. That was the rule.
Remember Ally McBeal? That was like really big when I had just joined the workplace, and so I was like,
Ally
"Wow,
McBeal.
I love myself some Ally McBeal." But Ally McBeal didn't have so much junk in her trunk, so like everything pitched up a
And
little.
that's it. You have to dress for your body. You have
Yeah.
to dress for your body. So, but no, it was just so many things. And last year I had that conversation with my mentee. I was like, I know you fly. I said, I'm fine. I said, I am Mrs. PTSO. I said, my Instagram is proof of that, but not in the workplace. Right? She had on some during the winter and the fall, she had on some thigh-high boots. I was like, no, ma'am. I said, I never want to see those again. I said, and I say this with love, and I say this with send me the link, but I don't want to see them at work in this building.
It wasn't Mary J. Blige at work day. It wasn't.
No, it was cute jeans. She had on her turtleneck and her blazer. I mean, she's a cutie. But I told her, and I said, I'm so happy. Michelle Obama on her latest book tour has been giving truth and power to this. When she talked about her hair, she didn't want it to be a distraction. So how you wear your hair, but your wardrobe, when you come in here, you don't want it to be a distraction. You want people to see your work product, how great you are, how you show up in these meetings, you're approachable, all these things. And it's truly just about playing the game, right? And if you learn it early on, you're going to go much further. And so people get perceptions in their mind, and it's so hard to reframe them. People have such a long memory of the one thing you did wrong, and they don't remember the 5 things you did really right. So I'm just trying. I just want to help somebody.
Yes.
I just want to help somebody. I feel like it took me so long to get to half of where I want to go, and there's still so many other things I want to do, even in the corporate space. And if I would have just known a little sooner, or maybe if I wouldn't have been so hard-headed, as my dad would say, somebody might have told me this along the way, but I didn't listen until I stumbled, right? It's like, you got to fall and hit your head, and she's like, oh, that's what he meant when he said, And so, and that's all I want to do is tell somebody before they even do it. Don't do it. Just, pick row B, option B.
One of my training colleagues, she used to say to her classes, she said, if you look in the mirror and say, I look good, then you should just go ahead and go out and about your day. But if you look in the mirror and say, ooh, I look good, you might want to rethink what you have on before you go into the office. So
these are real things. I just went to a retirement party a couple weeks ago, and the dress code said smart casual, and it was one of the presidents that I was supporting, and I absolutely love. And I was like, smart casual. It's on a Saturday. It's after 5. And I thought long and hard about what I wanted to wear to this retirement party. And it was at her house, beautiful home,
Mhm.
at her house, out and about. But I ended up going with just like a little linen pantsuit. I didn't
Yes.
want to wear sleeveless, but it was the point that my friend was like, "Why are you over rotating on this?" And I was like, "Do you understand the audience that I'm still going to
Yes.
be around?" You know
Yes.
what I mean? This isn't truly after work. It's a work event after hours.
Always work event if it's
It's
to
an
work
interview.
people.
It's still an
Yep.
interview because I'm going to be in there with other vice presidents, directors, leaders of the business that I support. I may not support them directly, but
Yeah.
I was like, I still, oh, that's Ebony from HR. I will
Yeah.
always be Ebony from HR. So every time you see me, I'm going to look like Ebony from HR.
Yeah. Yeah, just because she's retiring doesn't mean the rest of the people that are at that party are retiring. So they're going to have long memories about what you're wearing as well, right? It's about your brand,
Listen, when
right?
she told me she was retiring, I said, "Hey, I'm a few $100,000 short, so I'm gonna stay, but I'm going to miss you. I feel like I should retire with you, but I can't." And she just thought that was so funny.
Now, your book covers everything from networking to boundaries to navigating those office politics. If somebody's feeling stuck in their career right now, what's the first shift that they need to make to start thriving?
So I think it's a combination of things. The first thing you have to ask yourself, well, if I'm stuck, where do I want to go next?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
think about that and have a plan. And if you're like, okay, well, I know where I want to go, but I'm already stuck, then start having that conversation with your leader. Like, how do I get unstuck? What feedback do I need? Is there something I should be doing different? Are there
Hmm.
stretch assignments or projects I can take on? How do I get more visibility? Maybe you actually need a mentor or someone that's going to advocate for you. So I think it's a combination of things to do.
Hmm.
Um, but hopefully you have the confidence and you know, like, this is just a moment in time and
Hmm.
I can get to the other side of my want.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a good thought to think about, like, okay, where do I go next and who do I need to help me get there? What are the resources I need? That's definitely important. So let's talk about worth because that's something that definitely gets impacted when when you're stuck. You do kind of think about your work. A lot of people struggle with how to recognize and actually use their value at work. What are some tips that people get wrong? What are people getting wrong about advocating for themselves?
That you're not supposed to. You are supposed to advocate for yourself. I always say this, and I've been having this conversation with a friend of mine now. She is a busy bee, and I was like, I see so much of myself in you. You just get it done. You just take on these assignments, but you're not applying for other jobs. You're not looking for
Mhm.
other jobs.
Mhm.
But you're not necessarily happy here. Why not? But they give you all these things to get done because you're going to do it, right? So, how are you looking out for yourself? So, you have to know your worth, know your skill set, know what you're great at, and then how do you lean on that to get to the next level or get to the next opportunity?
Mhm.
Um, I tell everybody keep a fresh resume.
Yes.
Every now
Yes.
and again, you might just want to see what's out there and do a little pulse check to see what you're
Yeah.
worth. And
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
I think that is fair. And it's also a good exercise. It's like, you change the battery in the smoke alarm they say you're supposed to do that every New Year's. You're supposed to change the battery every year. And the same thing goes for your resume. Take a look at it. You might be three positions in, and you haven't even tracked it or put it on your resume. So when an opportunity comes about, or if you just want to kind of keep like you said, keep your interview skills sharp, and find out what you are worth, externally, you want to be ready and stay ready. So
Yes.
yeah, keep that sharp.
And you
What
said something there. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you said something there just about keeping your interview skills sharp. Interview skills is a real skill, right? And
It is
people don't realize that until it's time to interview. Then they're panicking. Like
cramming.
what I try to do, I try to track my successes so that way I can have my stories to tell.
Mhm.
Now, sometimes it's at the end of the year and I'm writing my own end of year summary. That's what you do.
Yes. That is what we
And
do.
And I have like a little cheat sheet, Ebony notes, and I start writing, okay, this is a good success story. This is a good, or sometimes, here we go, this one didn't go well, but I'm going to reframe this into a positive. This will
Yes.
be like, tell me about a time a project didn't go well or you didn't get support, because
Mhm.
they're going to ask that question, right?
Yes,
So
always those
it's
questions.
about having your story ready to share,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
knowing your worth will help you do that.
I think it's very important to do that, to track that, track your accomplishments, and I call it a scenario log. Like, just have those scenarios together. So you've already tracked the accomplishments, just use those as your scenario log, bits, so that you have it, so you always have it available and be able to speak to it.
Yes.
They always want to know, like, what mistakes have you made, or how have you had any personal conflicts? How did
Yes.
you coach upward to your manager? Those are like the standard garden variety questions that are going to ask you. So you know what they're going to ask. Just be prepared for it.
And so I think that's what maybe trips people up, is
Mm.
they're so focused on the response versus the question. Like, prepare your answers to be able to speak to communication, conflict resolution,
Yes.
communicating a strategic vision. Like, if you know the competencies and your stories, you should be able to plug and play them
Yes.
based on what they are asked. And that's how I was taught
Yeah,
to
me too.
interview.
Me
Um,
too.
I will tell you, there was an employee resource group, and inside of the employee resource groups, it was a group for Black professionals, Black women.
Mhm.
And whenever someone had an interview, we would like mock each other. We would like just have roundtables at lunch and talk about the best way to prep. And I remember sitting there like, oh my God, this is like a part-time job to interview. And it really is,
It
because
is.
you have to prepare to show up for the 45 minutes or 60 minutes that you have.
Yep.
Interviewing is just a snapshot for someone to see the skills that you bring to the table, and you really have to figure out how to highlight them. And you know what? It's just like any other day. Someday
Mm.
you wake up ready to go, and someday you might not have your best interview day. And
Right.
so, especially with the job market being so tight right now,
Mhm.
you have to show up on your A game.
And that brings me to what a typical like day looks like for you now. Like, how has that evolved over the years?
Oh, goodness gracious. So, what I am really fortunate for is that now in my role, I do the strategic consulting with the leaders and the any type of initiatives. I'm all about our employee surveys and how do we action plan against that? What are we implementing? I'm more so an integrator for the
Mhm.
other departments in HR. Whereas when I grew up in HR, I did a little bit of employee relations. I did a
Yes.
little bit still of learning and development, and a little bit of my own compensation and all
Mhm.
those things. But as an HRBP, I'm really working side by side with the leaders of the business. And of course, I do have some employee issues that I'll resolve and talk to. And depending on the level of it, I might have to send it off to ER and things of that nature. But
Mhm.
the most of my day is strategic consulting, strategic communication. Um, of course, in this environment, I've done my share of reduction in force and having
Mhm.
those conversations.
Mhm.
It's been a hard year for that.
Yeah.
Um, but no one day is the same. I can be super busy all day, and then one day be like, "Whoo, no way! I don't have a meeting scheduled. Let me catch up on some of this work."
Yeah.
I'm intentional about blocking the first 2 hours on a Monday and the last 2 hours on my Friday for like desk work and planning.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
That's good.
I block 30 minutes for lunch. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. 9 times out of 10, I'm eating at my desk. I know it's not a good habit. That's
No.
one thing I plan to break. It's on my list. Even if I just go outside and walk for 15 minutes,
Yeah,
it's
just
on
get a
my
little
list.
air. Mhm.
I also block my travel time. I have an hour commute each way, so I block my 4 to 5 to get out of the office.
Mhm.
Now, my talent partner, who she and I work with very closely, she laughs at me because that's our office hours. We'll talk about open recs I have or any internal movement, or that's the time that she knows she can catch me
Yes.
if we don't have a meeting or what have
Because
you.
you're in the car. Yep,
You
yep.
know, she's like, "Are you in your car yet?" I am. And it's so funny because she's virtual, or she works in a different state. We've
Mhm.
never met, but when I tell you that's my talent acquisition BFF, like
Mhm.
she it's just because we've built this relationship in the car 1 hour at a time.
Nice. I love that. I love that. So, like, there's a lot of mythology around HR. I mean, we've lived it. What's one myth about HR or corporate leadership that you'd love to eradicate from this earth?
Oh, goodness gracious. There's so many. So I think it's 50-50 that HR is not there for the employer, that HR is only there, um, to protect the company.
Right.
And so any good HRBP, any good trained HRBP, you're there to protect both,
Exactly.
right? You
Exactly.
want to train your leaders up so that they're treating their employees well, so that we don't have any type of grievances, so that we are communicating well, it's received well, our engagement scores are high. You want to protect both. Yes, we manage risk, okay? By definition, we
Yep.
manage risk.
Yep.
But how you do that is education and training of our leaders,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And sometimes it's just bridging that gap with what employees think should be happening versus what's actually happening.
Yeah.
So sometimes I do a lot of that connecting the dots in the workplace.
Yes. No, it's important because, HR is kind of seen as the corporate popo. Like like we get such a bad reputation,
Yes.
and I'd like to say that I thought all HR people were very much all about the employee and the organization. We balance a fine line, but not all HR professionals are like that. So I,
Correct.
I appreciate the that myth busting that we're not all like that. We do care
Yes.
about the employees because without employees, the business would not be in business. So
Correct.
that there's
Correct.
that there, the best interest of both.
That
Real
was one of the best things that one of my favorite leaders told me. She says, if you can always keep
Mhm.
um, the heart and mind of the employee at the top of every decision, she
Mhm.
said, that will serve you well.
Yes.
She said, when you are rolling out an initiative and you're working on communication talking points, the first thing you should be thinking about is how are employees going to receive this? Like, is it palatable? Is it in layman's terms?
Right.
Or have we put a whole bunch of smoke, to cover where there's an actual fire? She was like, don't do that. Don't do that. Transparent
Yeah.
communication, clear
Yeah.
communication. And sometimes it's okay to say, hey, we don't know, we don't know yet, but here's where we are.
Yeah.
Here's where we hope to go. And with your partnership, this is how we hope to get there. And
Yeah.
I promise you, I think, okay, her name is Lori. I always say, what would Lori do? To this day. And I tell her that. I was like, oh, what would Lori do?
That's great. Thank you, Lori, for putting that question in mind. And that is, it's a great question to think of, and especially even as leaders, not even in the HR realm, as a leader, as you're communicating these things, in the workplace, is it in the best interest of the employee? What's in it for them? Are we communicating that? Are we collaborating, um,
Yes.
with them? What's one practical way that employees can start owning their voice right now and like kind of getting past that self-doubt or imposter syndrome, or when changes roll out, how do they hone their voice? What's one tip that you can provide, Ebony?
Well, when changes roll out, I will tell them to be a positive change agent, even
Mhm.
if you got to go in your car and cry. Don't be the employee that sits on the floor and swirls with everyone else. Be a leader. Always show up as a leader. Um, Anytime you speak, anytime that your boss may be in a team meeting, and they say, "Well, what do you think?" Make sure it's positive.
Mhm.
Always be supportive. Even if you have to say, I forgot to think about that. I'm sure it's going to be a win for us all. I don't
Mhm.
care. But don't be negative Nancy in the office.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Always control and know your voice. Always just control your emotions. The emotional intelligence piece is a huge one. People don't get that one until later.
Yeah.
Read the room. Read the room. So those are probably that's a good way to start,
Yeah.
especially so that you get comfortable doing that. Some people are like, well, that's just not who I am. And I always tell people 20 years ago when I did MBTI, I was ESFJ. I was a feeler, extroverted, sensing, a feeler, judging. And I am ESTJ. I am a thinker
Mm-hmm.
because my experiences have shaped me so. I
Yeah.
have been forced, not forced, but I have evolved and
Yes.
grown,
Yes.
mature. So I don't wear my heart on my sleeves,
Mm-hmm.
especially not in the workplace. At home, I think I'm still very much a feeler, but in the workplace, I really try to lead with facts, not feeling. And I
And
think sometimes that's harder done than said. Right?
yes. Yes. Yes, and that goes to why you're in the strategy position that you're in right now. You're doing the more thinking instead of the feeling, and I think that that's a good fit for your skill set.
Well,
What's
thank you.
one thing, because we're running out of time. I'm getting the almost slight hook. But what's one career or leadership lesson that you could share with our audience? What would you go back and tell your younger self?
Oh, so many things. One, to always give myself grace, not to be hard on myself. Two, everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. So great things only last so long, but bad things only last so long. And you
Mhm.
have to learn to ride the lows, ride the highs. I think I heard Don Staley talk about this. You can't stay too high or stay too low.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
you got to have a balance. And I
Mhm.
think in my younger career, when the no's happened, they hit me hard. I held on to them. I think I might have been a little bitter, and I had to recover from that. And so it took me longer to get there.
Mhm.
So that's what I would tell my younger self: don't hold on to things too long.
And give yourself some grace. Mhm. Don't forget that one. That was a good one too. Thank you so much, Ebony. I mean, this was real. It was practical. It was so
Yeah.
needed. It's the medicine that we needed to hear today. And if you've ever felt like you didn't get the handbook for corporate America, this conversation is it. And you need to make sure you check out Ebony's book, Tea Tactics and Tenacity 10 Tips to Thrive in Corporate America. And as always, everybody, this is Career View Mirror. We want you to reflect on your path, own your story, and go build the career that you deserve. Thank you for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to Career View Mirror. If you got value from this episode, please consider leaving a rating and a review for the show on Apple Podcasts, or head on over to Spotify and click 5 stars for our show. We also have a YouTube channel with video versions of our episodes, so subscribe over there for more content. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next episode.